Hey everyone, and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. 1 year ago, we talked about the parts of Azeroth that have not yet been explored. You know, places like Kul Tiras and Zandalar. Yeah, so that video didn't age well, did it? Now, of course, that we know about the Battle for Azeroth expansion, we're potentially a lot more informed about what could happen, especially with the Warcraft 2 connections and parallels. All of that and more will be revealed in this video, which has been made possible by Skillshare. Sign up with my link and you will get 2 months for free. Yep, that's an extra free month on top of what you would normally get to, put that to use, learn new skills, something you can actually use, and it also massively helps out the channel, but more about them later. So let's just jump right into it. Okay, the Dragon Isles. You probably have not heard about the Dragon Isles, but they have been in many maps of Azeroth, and they were also a part of the original plan for World of Warcraft's content, where they were going to be a part of the overall slate of raids that would be there. Now, this is so far back. This is way back when the team had planned to ship a very different version of the game, one that I'm pretty sure we'll look at in a future video, but this was intended to be a 65 to 70 raid area zone sort of thing, and to date we've only really got a few glimpses of what it might have looked like. Now, concept art for it can actually be seen in the World of Warcraft art book, and you can see that in spite of its name, it seemingly has more of an old god influence and focus, of course given its location to Kul Tiras. A part of me wonders if there was a planned story that would have tied this into the old god influence in Tirisfal that made the initial High Elf settlers go mad. But anyway, a parallel can actually be seen directly with Battle for Azeroth. The Temple of Storms in Stormsong Valley, it has a striking resemblance to this concept art. Now, this is very much an area that's in canonical limbo. It's unlikely that we'll see it in the game, but I think it's fun to include in this video. Island expeditions. This is something that we absolutely do definitely know about. While they are mainly a gameplay feature, Blizzard are actually, they're putting little hints of lore into these. As an example, they recently teased us that we would run into black dragons here, which is super interesting given how Rathian, well, that guy could be up to pretty much anything, and of course think about how Ebonhorn ran off to attend to family matters. So that does sort of show us that Blizzard they're okay to put lore hints in here. Now, the islands themselves are of interest. We already know of Havenswood, which is an abandoned Gilnean outpost. There's also Krill Island, Oyster Reef, Ungol Ruins, and there's somewhere near Northrend. Now, there's also some data-mined ones with them having names such as Snowblossom Village, The Dead Chain, Jorundal, Thros, The Blighted Land, stuff like that. It very much seems like Blizzard could use this feature to give us hints of lore and just new locations that we haven't seen. Let's talk about the back of Azeroth. This has long been a topic of debate within the community. Blizzard have placed the Forbidden Sea and the Veiled Sea at the far side of the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor in such a way that, it does indicate that our world doesn't, like the world map that we have in-game, it doesn't perfectly wrap around the entire planet. We know that boats who have ventured too far in either direction have not made it back, and this seems to be purposefully mysterious to me, but we really do have no indication of what else is going on there, and that's really the point. And this is also a bit awkward given our recent spaceship adventures. Now, WoW Chronicle Volume 1 threw a spanner in the works when it said this: his burgeoning civilization was located near the center of Azeroth's largest continent. This flat out confirmed the existence of another continent when you think about the text. However, Chronicle Volume 3 later states that the Night Elf Kingdom was situated on the planet's only landmass. Chronicle 3 is more recent, so we'll have to take that as canon, meaning that there is likely a very large ocean, and for some reason, boats do not return from it. How could this happen? That's the big question. Well, it is possible that parts of the Kalimdor supercontinent are back there. They just got blasted out. It's also equally possible that volcanic islands have formed. That normally takes millions of years, but this is a fantasy universe that got blown up by a dragon who hit the world pillar, so let's not worry about that. Nazjatar is definitely not there, but Vinaga could have expanded in that direction, and as for Neolotha, well, I would not be surprised if it ended up being deep in the ocean at the other side of Azeroth. After all, the old gods seem to be the perfect reason for ships to go missing. Let's talk about hemisphere theory. This is a super fun one that I came across during my research. Basically, Pandaria is pretty warm overall, and Northrend is really cold. The only part of Pandaria that's really cold is Kunlai, and it's like that because it's extremely high up. And this has led to the really fun theory that we're actually on the northern hemisphere of the planet, and there's loads of stuff to the south. I don't think this is the case at all, but I just thought I'd throw it in here as a fun little aside thing. Next, Ny'alotha. Now this could be anything and it could be anywhere. All we know is that it's spooky as hell. Xal'atath has talked about it being just really a tremendous, gruesome place of madness and chaos, the sort of ultimate expression of old god power. It could be anything. It could be anywhere. We know nothing solid about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was a large part of the rear of Azeroth. That area is completely shrouded in mystery. I mean, come on, just in general. We didn't know about Pandaria until a few years ago. And all the depictions of the rear of Azeroth, they are shrouded in dense cloud cover. Given the lore that we recently have covered on the rear of Azeroth in this video, this seems like a perfect location for Ny'alotha. The current story of WoW is also perfectly set up for Ny'alotha to be the climax of the old god story. I mean, hell, imagine if we just found a new continent complete with rebel factions, perhaps ragtag groups of survivors that have, formed a civilization based off thousands of years of failed expeditions. It could be really cool, and importantly for World of Warcraft, it could be completely new and fresh. Let's talk about the Warcraft 2 islands. There's a whole bunch of these that are not in World of Warcraft at all. They're called Bellular, Zuldar, and Crestfall. They were the site of a few battles during the Second War. Now, Battle for Azeroth is already packed full of Warcraft 2 references, so I would not be surprised if that inspiration led to these being a part of the expansion somehow. Crestfall and Bellular are both human islands, as is Zuldar, in spite of its troll-sounding name. Now let's take a look at the map. As you can see, these islands are really close to Kulturas and Zandalar. So if Blizzard needs some islands for a new patch, well, these could very, very easily do the job. Plus, we actually meet someone in Kulturas whose surname is Crestfall, so I suppose that's another link. It's time to talk about Telebim. This is a pretty large-looking island, actually, that's off the coast of Kalimdor, and it's quite close to Kazan. Of course, we go back to Kazan in the Motherlode dungeon, and Telebim is a place that, again, is shrouded in mystery. All that we've really heard is the legends of their sentient bananas and all of that stuff. Is there actually much to this place? No, not really. Right now there's almost nothing, which is exactly why Blizzard could easily use this as a patch location in Battle for Azeroth, or perhaps even the location of a dungeon or an island expedition. With Azerite bubbling up anywhere, who knows where the next sort of bunch of the stuff could be, and that gives Blizzard a reason to send us pretty much anywhere. Next, Plunder Isle. So this is just off the coast of Stranglethorn Vale, and it seems to be in Battle of Azeroth, but not actually in the build. Basically, there's a datamined map name that's just called Plunder Isle, and that's pretty much it. So it's definitely interesting, and we could actually go here. Now, this island itself is really rugged, and it's made for the perfect hangout for the Bloodsail Buccaneers. And this is interesting because during Battle for Azeroth, we deal with quite a few pirates as we quest through Tiragard Sound and fight our way through the Freehold dungeon. This place gets perhaps a bit more interesting when we look at some other maps, because there is an island called Hiji. It has a slightly different location in the maps, but interestingly, it's pretty much the same shape. This makes me think the Plunder Isle was originally, Hiji, and perhaps was inhabited by trolls, which kind of beefs out its lore a little bit. Would this make sense for Battle for Azeroth? Maybe not as a major patch island, but you know what, I think it actually could be great for an island expedition or perhaps story scenario. Okay, the Rift Islands. So the area around the Maelstrom is absolutely packed full of tiny islands, and when you take a look at the Warcraft 3 map, I mean, man, you really can just see how much is there. And there's actually a few named locations. We've got Makara, we've got Nazjatar, that's a big one, we've got the Gishan Caverns and the Drowned Reaches, plus a whole bunch of other islands. This is interesting for a few different reasons. The islands are the direct remnants of the area directly around the Well of Eternity, so Blizzard could pack that area just full of interesting lore relating to the War of the Ancients, most likely by having these locations be just pretty cool backdrops to the island expedition system. Of course, one name there stands out, that's Nazjatar, so let's talk about it. Nazjatar is the name of Zin-Ashari, which is the ancient home city of the Highborn Elves, who now serve N'Zoth as Naga. It is the base of power for Queen Ashara, who of course we're going to be dealing with as a threat in this expansion, and as we've covered, it's located at the Rift. There is a bit of a problem here though. Vashir was really divisive. Personally, I loved it, but you know what? I could use a HTC Vive while suspended outside during an earthquake, and you know what? I probably still wouldn't get motion sickness. But suffice to say, for those who do, it wasn't really great. So what do Blizzard normally do in a situation like this? Well, it's WoW. You just raise the city up from the ocean, make it a big island. Perhaps they could raise up a big chunk of land containing maybe Nazjatar, some other little subzones that could make for a pretty damn beefy chunk of content, perhaps enough to fill out a major patch. And today's video was made possible by Skillshare. Skillshare are an online learning platform with over 18,000 courses covering video editing, cinematography, business, art, technology, so many things. What I particularly love though is the courses are designed to be bite-sized and actionable, so you jump in there, you actually learn a few bite-sized things, and you come out and you're actually able to apply them. I've recently been enjoying Jordy's courses on color grading and DSLR filmmaking, and my link will give you 2 months for free. So it really is risk-free and helps the channel out a hell of a lot as well. Okay, so there you go. That is a bunch of new locations in Azeroth, many of which we could quite plausibly go to in Battle for Azeroth. As for future expansions, well, given patch 7.3's side villains, I would not be surprised if we were jetting off to another planet within the next 5 years of World of Warcraft. So that's it for this video. A massive thank you to everyone over on Patreon for helping out. Over on Patreon, you'll get behind the scenes, early access to non-news videos such as this one. There's the new posters, which are awesome. They come out monthly, so you can check that out. And yeah, that's what's up with Patreon, so check that out. You can also get yourself in the credits for the video. And of course, a tremendous thank you to you for watching. And with all that, I will see you next time.